If we win, we're in. Hi, Boston. If we lose, we will play at home, either Chicago or Toronto on Friday at State Farm Arena. And then if we win, obviously we're in. Hello, Milwaukee. Or if we lose, Mike, we're done. Bottom line is you are going to either be in by beating the Heat or you're going to be in by beating either Chicago, the winner of the Chicago-Toronto game. That's kind of what this week is, all right? Now, as far as the Heat are concerned, we can talk about this, Mike. They've owned us. They've won 3 or 4 this year. I mentioned 7-2 versus the Hawks in their last 9 games. They've been our kryptonite. And one listener said to me earlier today, hey, Dukes, I just don't know how or what it is about the Heat, but they have our number. Well, we got to find a way, Mike. Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler and all these guys, I get it. They got a nice squad. But we got to find a way to get it done. My problem is, who do you trust? The playoffs are about trust. Who do you trust to get it done? What have the Hawks done that allow you to trust that they're going to get it done?
Well, I mean, 2 years ago, it would be I want the ball in Trae Young's hands. I want Trae shooting that three. I want Trae getting the ball either, depending on if it's a margin of 1 or 2, 3 points, getting him to the rack, getting a couple of free throws, game over. That's generally what I thought was going to happen this year. And we'll talk about an article that came out today in The Ringer, written by Kevin O'Connor, which gets into more about the same issues which we talked about back in January. I mean, you bring in DeJounte Murray to help Trae, and Trae doesn't respond, or for some reason the game plan doesn't work because Trae doesn't take the shots or doesn't want to be involved in that kind of an offense.
Right.
Which, again, this is where Nate went to Oklahoma City, and we said, hey, guys, Trae, we're going to get – and the idea was Trae was in on it. Trae was encouraging the Hawks to go get DeJounte Murray. And then we bring it in, and then nothing works like it was supposed to work because Trae doesn't do the job he's supposed to be doing, according to the article.
Yeah, there's a lot here from the standpoint of where this team goes. Listen, teams rarely trade superstars because stars have the say. If Trae wants out, that's another conversation because then you force your hand in more times than not, and you've seen it already this year. Kevin Durant, you saw it with the beard. Numerous guys have done that. Kyrie. But, Mike, I think this is about retooling and trying to get both of these guys, and I'm talking specifically about DJ and Trae, on the same page. And that's going to start with our head coach and Quinn Snyder. Now, the article points out that as the Hawks talked to Quinn Snyder for months before they hired him, part of Quinn's deal was, look, if I take this gig, I got to have player personnel say. I cannot come in and not have that. So according to this article by Kevin O'Connor, he does, which means whatever happens this offseason, he's signing off on. However he wants to reconstruct this roster, Mike, or whatever he wants to do with the stars on it, he is going to have that say. And I think that's very important because I don't think he would have took the job without having that. I don't know how much that diminishes because we're going to hear a lot about this, guys. Hey, Landry Fields, he's got say, and this person has say. I think Quinn Snyder is the guy that says yay or nay when it comes to this at the end of the day. Now I believe that is the case with the Hawks.
Yep. Again, Snyder hasn't put his own coaching staff together yet. Maybe still using Nate's guys. So there could be some dramatic changes perhaps. I don't know. But, I mean, you've got to do something. You've got to get on a run. It's important. If you guys love the way, I mean, there's nothing to love about this team because it's so flat and it's so 500 and so inconsistent. But if you love the idea that Trae is going to be here for a decade, which is what you do when you draft a guy 3rd overall, this got to work.
Yep.
And the article, again, guys, it's in The Ringer. And for those who are not familiar, I talked about it earlier to start the show. Kevin O'Connor wrote the article. This is on the heels of another article that was written earlier this year. Guys, we're not making this stuff up. The word around the league is Trae doesn't laugh at the same jokes as his teammates. And there's a lack of communication, for lack of a better word.
Well, the early article was from Sam Amick, who came on the show from The Athletic, who originally broke the story about Travis Schlink and all the things behind the scenes that went on. This is, and some people have even said this, Mike. They said, Dukes and Bell, come on, man. The playoffs about to start. Really? This guy doesn't credit his sources. Well, guys aren't going to credit sources when you talk about a story like this. This is information behind the scenes that is going on. And I got to say this. A lot of stuff that Kevin talks about, I'm aware of. This is not news necessarily to me. I'm just saying when it comes out, now it doesn't come from Mike and I since you think we're haters. It comes from Kevin O'Connor from The Ringer, and you say, oh, well, I don't know if I believe that. Trust me. Believe this.
So, again, the part of this article goes back to Trae working without the ball. That was what we thought. Trae's going to be like what he did at Oklahoma. They talk about it in the article. Talk about what Dame Lillard does out in Portland. The idea was he's going to get better looks. His 3-point percentage is going to go up.
Because you have a guy that can handle the ball.
Correct. But he hasn't necessarily done that. And in the article, I also talk about sometimes in the offense, Trae just stands in the corner, which is something I notice on TV. But when I talk about it, again, I portray it as a hater. So look, we all want Trae to be here. We want everything to work. I still wish Travis was here because I think Travis can get us out of this mess. He picked the groceries, and then unfortunately, none of the pieces started to mesh. He also didn't want to give up all the things we gave up to get DeJounte here. But we're here now, so you got to fix this. And Carl just talked about it. There is a possibility, albeit slim, that they would move on from Trae. But then again, what are you going to get for a Trae in a trade? What could you? I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. You get into this whole unknown, Carl, where you don't know you can get the return on the investment. You've already lost all your picks to get DeJounte Murray. So how do you package this in the first place? That's why the point I'm getting to is it's got to work, and it works by Trae doing his job.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think this comes to him not being here. I think it comes to the buy-in, which is what we've been talking about from day one. The buy-in. And I know you guys don't want to talk about LP. Sorry. The buy-in. I know you guys don't want to talk about Nate. Sorry. The buy-in. It matters. And when Nate got fired, we got 3 guys on this team who came out and who were responsible and talked about it's on all of us. And what they were really saying is it's on the guy who has the most pressure on the team to live up to it. And they were talking about Trae. And when we said, hey, it's about being responsible, you guys got pissed off. What are we going to do in these playoffs?
I was talking to some listeners after the Sixers game. And again, if you just look at the stat sheet, you didn't watch the game, you go, wow, that's all-star, that's a top performance by Trae. And it is. 27 points, 20 assists. He had 9 turnovers, guys. I mean, I get it. I mean, we're talking about this is the best player on the team. Can we all agree Trae's the best player on the team? Check.
Hands down.
So Trae's got the ball. 24-second clock. Tick, 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 tick. He waves off 2 screens. And then can't get a shot off with a guy in the D League defending him.
You're talking about that despicable loss against the Sixers.
Yes, I mean, what? Then I got a guy who comes back at me on Twitter. Hey, man, 27-20. Like, he got paid. He's doing it. There's more to it. If you guys don't think it's a stat sheet, then you better have a James Harden poster on your wall because that's where Trae's going to go. He'll be the guy that always gets the points but never gets the ring. He'll be the guy that nobody wants to play with. Okay, that's a problem. So it's about him listening. And look, we know he listens. He hears everything. Hell, he called me out on Twitter. We know he's aware of all this stuff. Hopefully at some point this sinks in, and then whatever it is next year will be the magic year that is the maturity, the responsibility, the leadership kicks in.
He came into the league very young. There's no doubt. He'll be 25 next season. That's still very young. So I've always said this. I'm willing to give Trae the benefit of the doubt. And I've had this conversation with Rayford. That's his dad. He understands the position he's in. He understands what's going on. But the problem is when you're not affecting winning, doesn't matter to me. You can give me 45 and 17 a night, Mike. If you're not winning, it doesn't matter. So ultimately, that is the thing that he's got to learn how to do. And all these stars have to learn how to do it, Mike. All of these guys have to learn how to win. They all think they can do it by themselves. They all think they can just look at Luka. They all think they can do it. And then you realize, damn, I kind of need a team around me, and I need to trust my guys. And more importantly, I need to make the right plays and do all the things. Trae's stats are not the issue. By the way, it's our defense. We still suck. We have the 6th worst defense in the NBA. The 6th worst. We're not getting stops, guys. That hasn't changed since Quinn took over. It hasn't.
And that's, again, I don't just because we start talking about this and you guys be like, oh, you're bashing on Trae. No, the article, amongst other things we talked about, Carl was on the DeAndre Hunter thing before the contract was offered, that he's not worth it because he's too inconsistent and he's not the great defender we thought he would be coming out of UVA. In the Kevin O'Connor article, he talks about it. He says Young is far from the only culprit with our defensive woes. Talks about part of the reason the Pistons moved on from Sadiq Bey is he's inconsistent defensively. Talked about Hamilton. We're the worst perimeter defense in the league. You guys see that from time to time. And that's why I don't think, Trae going 27-20 against all of the Sixers backups is something you guys should be like having a parade about. And then not able to get the star on the team, can't get a shot or an assist off when the game is on the line. But you want to throw his stats at me. Well, here's the stat that matters most. L. Okay? When, things kind of matter. You didn't have to play against Boston because the die was cast.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I just don't know if you trust him enough to get it done against the Heat. And then if you do, and we win, then what happens? And everybody wants to tell me, well, Dukes, they'll elevate, man. Trae will play great against Boston. He'll be great against Milwaukee. He'll do magical things, and this team will all of a sudden hit the button, and we haven't seen this year. I don't trust him.
But you're going off the 2021 narrative, which is we're 2 years removed from, and that just doesn't happen on a consistent basis. Look, that was one for the ages. The bar was raised. The expectation level was raised by Trae because he played so well. And then it's been inconsistent. Now, the stats, we can quote stats all day, but the difference-making stuff, the Jason Tatum stuff, the Dame Lillard stuff, the SGA stuff, right? The guys that are making the shots, making the moments. That's what we're talking. Because what were we talking about in 22? Trae, or 21. Trae taking over the Garden.
Yeah.
Trae with going into the paint against the Sixers. Those big moments, where are they?